Hi, welcome back. We are discussing the five nines concept in that we'll try to discuss the incident and their responses. The first, the incident response phases. To talk about this, in this, when an incident occurs, the organization must know how to respond to that particular incident. So organizations needs to develop an instant response plan and put together a computer security incident response time CSIRC to manage the responses if the system is having any vulnerabilities, and based on that vulnerability, if any attackers attacks the network, in that case there is a data loss or the information loss will be there. So in that case, how to respond those incidents. So the incident response has consist of the four phases. One is preparation, detection and analysis, containment and eradication and recovery, and the post incident follow ups. So we'll see this one by one. In the preparation phase, that the incident response is the procedures that an organization follows after an event occurs outside the normal range. A data breach releases information to an untrusted environment. A data breach can occur as the result of an accidental or intentional act. A data breach occurs anytime an unauthorized person copies, transmits, views, steals, or access sensitive information. So, when an incident occurs, the organization must know how to respond. An organization needs to develop an incident response plan, as said, and put together in a computer security incident response time CSIRT. So the term performs, the this CSIRT term performs certain functions like maintains the incident response plan, ensures its members are knowledgeable about the plan, test the plan, and gets management's approval of the plan. The CSIRT can be established group within the organization or an ad hoc one. The team follows a set of predetermined steps to make sure that their approach is un the uniform, and that they do not skip any steps. So the national CSIRTs oversee incident handling for a particular country. Yeah, this is what we just see. So the next one is the detection and analysis. So detection starts when someone discovers the incident. Organizations can purchase the most sophisticated detection systems. However, if administrators do not review the logs and monitors alerts, these systems are worthless. Proper detection includes how the incident occurred, what data is involved, and what data it involved, and what system it involved. So notification of the breach goes out to senior management and managers responsible for the data and systems to involve them in the remediation and repair. So detection and analysis includes one is alerts and notifications, and monitoring and follow up. So incident analysis helps to identify the source, uh, where the vulnerability is there and where the attack happened, and it extend impact and details of a data breach in that particular instant, and accordingly it will respond. So the organization may need to decide if it needs to call in a team of experts to conduct the forensic investigation, which is inside the organization, or any ad hoc one. So in that instant response, first one is the preparation, second one is detection and analysis, and next needs to go for the containment and eradication and recovery the system from the incident. So in this containment and eradication, the containment efforts include the immediate action or immediate actions performed, such as disconnecting a system from the network to stop the information leak. And after identifying the breach, the organization needs to contain and eradicate it. So, this may require additional downtime for systems. So, the recovery stage includes the action that the organization needs to take in order to resolve the breach and restore the systems involved. So after remediation, the organization needs to restore all the systems to their original state before the breach. And the next one is post incident follow up, how to secure the network. So, after restoring all operations to a normal state, the organization should look at the cause of the incident and ask the following questions, like uh, the following questions like, what action will prevent the incident from recurring, and what preventive measures needs to be taken to strengthen the network or organization, and how can it improve the system monitoring continuously at the administrative level, and how can it minimize the downtime during the containment, so it requires some redundant over there, and during the eradication and the recovery phases, and how can management minimize the impact to the business. So, a look at the lessons learned can help the organization to better prepare by improving upon its incident response plan. So, this is the about the incident and response when the attacks happens. So then, what incident response technologies are required to respond to this in any incident that happens inside the organization? That is incident response technologies. So there are many technologies that exist. One is network admission control, that NAC. Another one is intrusion detection system, intrusion prevention system, and NetFlow and the IP fix. So we'll see this one by one. So in the network administration control, if you look at the network admission control here, the purpose of network admission control allows authorized users with compliant systems access to the network. A compliant system meets all of the policy requirements of the organization. For example, a laptop that is part of a home wireless network may not be able to connect remotely to the corporate network. So NAC evaluates an incoming device against the policies of the network. NAC also guarantees, by doing some quarantines, the systems that do not comply, and manages the remediation of non-compliant system. A NAC framework can use the existing network infrastructure and third-party software to enforce the security policy compliances for all endpoints. Alternatively, A network admission control appliance, the control network access, evaluates compliance, and enforces security policy. So the common NAC systems that checks, which includes the update, antivirus, the virus updates, and the operating systems, operating system patches and their updates, and complex password uh, enforcement in the network. So this is the first, one of the technology for making sure that the system should be available, the high availability, by following the 5 9 concept. So now the next we'll look into the next technology is intrusion detection system. The next slides, they explain the figure which we have just seen. Another one is the intrusion detection system. So you can look at the figure here, that in this it clearly gives that intrusion detection system passively monitor the traffic on the network. So the figure shows that an intrusion detection system enabled device that copies the traffic stream and analyzes the copied traffic rather than the actual forwarded packets. And working offline, it compares the captured traffic stream with known malicious signatures, similar to the software that checks for viruses. So, working offline means several things. One, intrusion detection system works passively. Second, intrusion detection system device is physically positioned in the network so that traffic must be mirrored in order to reach it. So here you can see this intrusion detection system that enabled here, that is the passive one, and it is attached to the network. And network traffic does not pass through the intrusion detection system unless it is mirrored. So passive means that the IDS monitors and the intrusion detection system that monitors and reports on traffic. It does not take any action. This is the definition of operating in promiscuous mode. The advantage of operating with a copy of the traffic is that the IDS does not negatively affect the packet flow of the forwarded network. The disadvantage of operating on a copy of the traffic is that the intrusion detection system cannot stop malicious single packet attacks from reaching the target before responding to the attack. An intrusion detection system often requires assistance from other networking devices such as routers and the routers, switches, or the firewalls to respond to an attack. So, a better solution is to use a device that can immediately detect and stop an attack. So that is an intrusion prevention system that performs this. The next slide that gives the explanation of this intrusion detection system. So we talk about the intrusion prevention system. So in the intrusion prevention system, as configured in the network, okay, you can find the attacker here who connected to a private LAN, where private LAN is connected to the internet through the single gateway router here, and where the intrusion prevention system, which is connected inside the network to sense the traffic over here. So you can see here intrusion prevention system. So the IPS builds upon the IDS technology. However, an intrusion prevention system device operates in inline mode, not in promiscuous mode. So this means that all incoming and outgoing traffic must flow through it for processing. So, as shown in the figure, and IPS does not allow packets to enter the trusted side of the network unless it has analyzed the packets. So, it can detect and immediately address a network problem. An intrusion prevention system monitors network traffic. So it analyzes the contents and the payloads of the packets for more sophisticated embedded attacks that might include malicious code. Some systems use a blend of detection technologies, including signature based, profile based, and protocol analysis based intrusion detection. So, this deeper analysis enables the intrusion prevention system to identify, stop, and block attacks that would pass through a traditional firewall devices. When a packet comes in through an interface on intrusion prevention system that comes, any packet that comes, the this IPS. So when this packet comes in through this interface of your IPS system, the outbound or trusted interface does not receive that packet until the IPS analyzes the packet. So the advantage of operating in inline mode is that the IPS can stop single packet attack from reaching the target system. But there is a disadvantage. What is that? The disadvantage is that a poorly configured IPS can negatively affect the packet flow of the forwarded network. The biggest difference between IDS and IPS is that an IPS responds immediately and does not allow any malicious traffic to pass. Whereas IDS intrusion detection system allows malicious traffic to pass before addressing the problem. So next slide explains this concept which we just discussed. So the next one is you'll find the net flow and IP flex in the instant response. So in NetFlow, if you look at this, there are two systems, PC1 and PC2, trying to communicate with certain packets exchanged between them. And PC1 is connected to this switch, PC2 is connected to this switch. And these two different LANs connected through a NetFlow router. Okay. And at this switch, the NetFlow collector and analyzer is configured. So how this, what happens inside this net flow, that the net flow is a Cisco interwork operating system technology that provides statistics on packets flowing through a Cisco router or multi-layer switch, either through R1 or through this switch. So NetFlow is the standard for collecting operational data from networks. The Internet Engineering Task Force, that IETF, used Cisco's NetFlow version 9 as the basis for IP Flow Information Expert, that IP Flow Information Expert, that is IPFIX. So this IPFIX, that IP Flow Information Expert, is a standard format for exporting router based information about network traffic flows to data collection devices. The IPFix works on routers and management applications that support the protocol. Network managers can export network traffic information from a router and use this information to optimize network performance. Applications that support IPFix can display statistics from any router that supports this standard. Collecting, storing, and analyzing the aggregated information provided by IPFix supported devices that provides the some of the benefits like the sources the network against the internal and external threats and troubleshoots the network failure quickly and precisely. And third is analyzing the network flaws for the capacity planning. So these are different ones. So to get more information about this net flow and IP fix, you just click here to watch the videos on how Cisco NetFlow can help with the detection of security threats which comes from outside the network. Right. So the next one is we'll try to talk about the advanced threats. So to talk this advanced threats, give me a second. Let me have a water. Yeah. So the next incident response technology which are used is the advanced threat intelligence. So as you can see that the components of cyber attacks are the victim. The victim, they can identify the victim, their location, do some forensics, and they find the deliveries like by giving them some mechanisms and the exploits and the malware and the infrastructure. These are basic components of your cyber attacks. So by keeping this thing in mind, the advanced threat intelligence can help organizations detect attacks during one of the stages of this cyber attack and sometimes before with the right information. So maybe at the actor level, motivation level, infrastructure level, delivery level, or victim level. So organizations may be able to detect indicators of attack in its logs and system reports for the following some of the security attacks like the account logouts uh, and all database events, asset creation and detection and configuration and modification to the systems. So in this the advanced threat intelligence is a type of event or profile data that can contribute to security monitoring and responses. As the cyber criminals become more sophisticated, it is important to understand the malware, the malwares. So, with improved visibility into attack methodologies, an organization can respond more quickly to the incidents. Then these are some of the incident technologies to improve the measurement and availability to make sure that the all the 5 9 concept should be reachable, achievable. The next we'll try to discuss the disaster recovery. If something has happened, then how it will be recovered. So the if some devices on our network is compromised, then how it can be recovered when some disasters happens. So it is a critical to keep an organization functioning when a disaster occurs. A disaster includes any natural or human caused events that damages assets or property and impairs the ability for the organization to continue operating. So there are two different types of disasters that you can find. One is the natural disasters, another one is the human caused disasters. So in the natural disaster that you can see, uh, the natural disasters differ depending on locations. So some of these events are difficult to uh, predict, because natural disasters fall into some of the categories like the geographical disasters, that includes earthquakes or the landslides, volcanoes, and tsunamis. And another one is another category that you can find, that the meteorological disasters includes the hurricanes, tornadoes, snowstorms, lightning, and hail. In terms of your healthcare disasters or health disasters, that includes the widespread illness, quarantines, and pandemics like happened in 2020, 21, and 22. So the and another one is natural disaster is the malicious miscellaneous disasters, that includes like fires, floods, solar storms, and avalanches. So, and another type of disaster that you can find, the human caused disasters, that the intentional one. So, human caused disasters involve the people or the organizations, and fall into certain categories like the labor events, include strikes, walkouts, and slow down the work. Another, the category under this human caused disaster is the social, that is the political events, that includes the vandalism and the black cuts, your protest, sabotage, terrorism, and war. You can find the materials events, that includes like the hazardous spills and fires, and utilize disruptions, that includes the power failure. So these are some of the human caused disasters. So to get more information about these human caused disasters, please go through the link, which gives some kind of information which happened in 2011 regarding based on the earthquake disasters and tsunami, that is the natural disasters. So when such kind of disasters happen, then what is the disaster recovery plan then? So to go for the recovery plan, the disaster recovery plan, in that an organization puts its disaster recovery plan (DRP) into action while the disaster is ongoing, and the employees are the scrambling to ensure critical systems are online. So the disaster recovery plan includes the activities the organization takes to assess, salvage, repair, and storage damaged facilities or assets. So to create a DRP, it should answer certain questions, that one, that who is responsible for this process, for this disaster process, a recovery plan, and what does the individual needs to perform that particular process, where does the individual perform this process, and what is the process, and why is the process critical. So a DRP needs to identify which processes in the organization are the most critical. So during the recovery process, the organization restores its mission critical system first. So then, what are the how this disaster recovery planning is going to be implemented? So the implementing the disaster recovery controls, is categorized into three types, like the preventive controls, corrective controls, and detective controls. So disaster recovery controls minimize the effects of a disaster to ensure that resources and business processes can resume operations. So there are three types of this IT disaster recovery controls, like you can see in the diagram. One is the preventive control. So in preventive measures includes the controls that prevent a disaster from occurring. So these measures seek to identify risk, whereas the detective measures include controls that discover unwanted events. So these measures uncover new potential threats, whereas corrective measures includes the controls that restore the system after a disaster or an event. So if you go and check into the in details of preventive control, that includes keeping data backed up or keeping data backups of site and using surge protectors and installing the generators. Whereas in detective control, using up to date the antivirus software and installing server and network monitoring softwares like Wireshark and NetFlow, IPFix, and those. And in the corrective controls, it keeping the critical documents in the disaster recovery plan, right? So then in this disaster recovery, if it is impacting to the business, then how the business continuity is planning for that. So you'll see that business continuity, the planning that needs for the business continuity. One is the supporting tech, what are the business tasks are they, what is there in, if disasters happens, what are the alternate sites, what are the documents and the materials where they go for the backups, and who will take care of this, the disaster recovery, the group of people and the supporting technologies. So the business continuity is one of the most important concepts in computer security. So even though companies do whatever they can do prevent disasters and loss of data, it is impossible to predict every possible scenario. It is important for companies to have plans in place that ensures the business continuity regardless of what may occur. So a business continuity plan is a broader plan than a disaster recovery plan because it includes getting critical systems to another location while repair of the original facility is underway. So, personnel continue to perform all business processes in a alternate manner until normal operations resumes. So, availability ensures that the resources required to keep the organization ongoing will continue to be available to the personnel and the systems that rely on them. So then the business continuity, what are the, what it requires for the, the continuity consideration. So in this continuity consideration, the business continuity controls are more than just backing up data and providing redundant hardware, that is it may be the switch redundant or router redundant. So organizations need employees to properly configure and operate systems. So data can be useless until it provides information. An organization should look at the the some of the categories like you can see getting the right people to the right place, documenting configurations, establishing alternate communication channels for both voice and data, and providing power for high availability, and identifying all dependencies for applications and processes so that they are properly understood, and finally understand how to carry out automated task how to carry out the automated task. So, for business continuity, the best practice follows, as you can see in this figure, that the National Institute of Standards and Technology, that NIST, developed the following best practices for the business continuity. One, write a policy that provide guidance to develop the business continuity plan and assigns roles to carry out the task. That is the first one. Second, identify critical systems and processes and prioritize them based on necessity. That is, conduct the business impact analysis. And third one is calculate the risk. That means identify the vulnerabilities, threats, and calculate the risk based on this. A fourth one, you see that identify and implement controls and countermeasures to reduce the risk. That is, the identify the preventive controls, and then develop a recovery strategies that devise methods to bring back critical systems quickly. Then develop the contingency plan that write procedures to keep the organization functioning in a chaotic state. Then test that plan, and finally maintain the plan by update the plan regularly. So this is the disaster recovery for the business continuity planning. So in this whole the session or series of your lectures, we to make the five nines concept, or to make the systems high availability. So we just try to begin by explaining the concept of five nines, that 99.999, a high availability standard that allows for the 5.26 minutes of downtime per year of any small, medium, or large scale industries or companies. So this chapter also, we also discuss the various approaches that the organization takes to ensure the system availability by giving the redundancy in terms of the hardware, in terms of the software, and the solid system design that includes the accommodating the measures that provide the redundancy and resiliency, so that an organization can recover quickly and continue their operations. And we also try to discuss how an organization responds to an incident by establishing some procedures that it follows after an event occurs. And finally, we concluded with the discussion of your disaster recovery and business continuity plan. So this, I'd like to conclude this 5-9 concept, which is very important in the principle of cyber security course. Thank you.